Good afternoon, everybody. I would like to introduce you to Liz Watson. Liz and I met at the studios, actually, in Stepping Stones, based in the southwest. I interviewed Liz about the banking fiasco, shadow banking. More and more people are having their homes, their property, their land removed, seemingly unlawfully, and we need to put a stop to it, but we need greater awareness. That's what this event is all about, getting this awareness out to the wider population. So without much further ado, I give you Liz Watson.
Right, thank you very much, Caroline, for the opportunity to share a little bit of knowledge that I've gathered through the mills of life. What I'd really like to touch on is that interview, which was at the end of July. It will be on Caroline's website about shadow banking, and I think you might find it quite an eye-opener, because some of the exhibits were uploaded on the camera, and they include what a counterfeit bank statement looks like. Has anybody seen a counterfeit bank statement? Has anybody checked to see whether their bank account is actually on the bank's ledger, being audited? Because what I found out is that there's an unknown number of shadow accounts which stem from the corruption of British banking, and I believe 60% of transactions are now being done through shadow accounts. So let me define what I call a shadow account. A shadow account, to my understanding, is something that is using false numbers, fake account numbers, false sort codes, and is not on ledger, so it can't be audited. So what does the National Audit Office have to say about this, I wonder? Not only that, the shadow accounts are being used, they only are used where there's money laundering. What's money laundering? I think we've all got to see various examples of money laundering. Shadow banking and shadow accounts go hand in hand. The key thing, I think, to define it is that it always results in an unregulated debt and an unregistered debt. And an unregistered debt can't be audited, therefore it can't be regulated. The FSA said to me last year, nobody can be bankrupted on an unregistered debt. I thought, thank God for that, because they were trying to bankrupt me last year. They wouldn't put it in writing, however, and I think it would be great if some of us could get together and lobby these so-called regulators to put these kind of things out there and put it in print. You can't bankrupt somebody on an unregistered debt. SMEs, a lot of them are businesses are being stolen through false accounts on debts that aren't registered. But who bothers to check the forensic trail? Who's checking the audit trail? The National Audit Office isn't. The National Audit Office is supposed to be checking every single transaction the bank ever does. Has anybody heard about the Bankers Book Evidence Act, 1879? Anyone?
Yes.
That act is very short. It's about one page, but it says about the strict terms that have to be complied with to produce the evidence that is needed to establish whether a mortgage exists, whether the debt exists, and whether the account in your name exists. But the interesting thing is, I've never come across a British judge yet who will comply or invoke that act. But as I see it, a lot of these long trials that take place in Her Majesty's courts, they can go on for months, when actually, in fact, they could be sorted out in about 10 minutes flat. If somebody would invoke the Bankers Book Evidence Act and have a look at the forensic evidence, every single mortgage account and every single bank account has to be recorded on the bank's books. So, we then face the demons of the British bankers, which seem to be well covered at the moment. If we call for the sunlight of truth to be brought into British banking, and we say, right, I would like to know, if you bring up your bank randomly and ask them about the account number and say to them, can I have proof of the mandate? Did everybody sign a mandate to open that account that's in your name? Or did any of you start receiving random bank statements like my husband and I did, which actually went on for a good 15 years before I actually suddenly thought one day, bloody hell, this bank statement's arrived in August 2013, and it said DR, £407,000, 24.19 against my husband's name. Oh, what? And then I looked a bit more closely, and it said under telephone number, blank, fax number, blank, department, specialist unit, and I thought, I'm going to phone them. And then I had a marathon journey to get through to the right person in the private banking unit of Bank of Scotland PLC, who eventually got me through, and they said, oh no, it's not enough to just ring the unit, you've got to get the relationship manager. I said, well, who is it? And there was like about 8 of them, and nobody knew who was our relationship manager. Eventually I did get hold of somebody, and I taped the phone calls. I've got about 300-400 taped pieces of evidence of HBOS, Lloyds Banking Group PLC. I call them Hell's Bankers organising stealth. They opened up 6 banks in our bank accounts in our names without our instruction, without our signature, without a checkbook, without a debit card. They were free to help themselves to monetary transactions against our names without our say-so. And we didn't even realise this was happening until I finally woke up in 2013 when we got this massive amount on the statement. And they admitted that they didn't have any record of it. I said, what? I've got a statement. What do you mean you've got a statement? I said, I have. It says Bank of Scotland at the top. Anyway, cut it off really short. I then get a phone call back from somebody in group operations called Tom Aston. I've been trying to find and track him down, but they seem to be vaporised. Anyway, eventually Tom Aston rang me back. I have him on tape as well. And he said, oh, sorry, there's been a mistake. That somebody else's debt belongs to Gavin and Eileen Stewart. And I burst out crying with relief. And I thought, thank God, this isn't our debt. Somebody else has made a mistake. Oh, he said, I promise I'll put it all right. And I said, by when? Will you send me a holding email to, confirm? Yes. And a few of the things we discussed. But it was a very emotional experience because I have been struggling in British courts since 2008 on an unissued claim possession on our family home, which I thought I'd paid cash for. And I only discovered in 2016 that, in fact, my cash was stolen from Northern Rock, which was a building society that we all know about. And I eventually unravelled this horror story. Kafkaesque nightmare would be a very good description. And found out that a solicitor acting for the vendor of our house called David Ross Webb, Matthew Bournemouth, 194 Seabourn Road, please look him up. I'm amazed that he's still trading. I've been to the SRA and they told me, oh no, he's got exempt status with the FSA, because I said, this man is peddling a false instrument through British courts. Oh no, he's got exempt status. When I looked at the conditions and the caveats of exempt status, I thought, what does that mean? Is he exempt so that he could commit fraud? Yes, is the case. This is the case. It turned out that he had basically, he contravened the conditions, which are that you can't conduct regulated transactions without having, in other words, it's for low-key legal work. But of course, suddenly this man is some kind of crook. Anyway, I then found out the company he was trading under wasn't even incorporated back in 1993 when this happened. Anyway, this is how it's all unfolded. And suddenly, all the doors to get redress are barricaded. So I'd like to just warn people that, who owns your house? I then went to Land Registry and I found they had this charge sitting, 2 charges sitting on our register. One in favour of Bank of Scotland, one in favour of Santander. I went to Santander and I said, I've never borrowed a penny from you. I don't have any cul-de-sac. I couldn't get anywhere. But interestingly, Mr. Horta Osorio, the CEO of Lloyds Banking Group, used to work at Santander. Isn't that interesting, ladies and gentlemen? I think he worked there for quite a long time. Was he the CEO of Santander? Anyway, the links are all there. And there's something seriously rotten about British banking and about Pell's bankers organising stealth who changed their name to Lloyds Bank. What I think is significant is that there was a secret bailout from the Bank of England in 2008, a few weeks before the crash of the share price, before the merger with HBOS and Lloyds Banking Group. And literally, as I recall, the share price plummeted from £4 a share to 40 pence a share, practically overnight. Well, I wonder why that was. What did the bank know before the merger? Well, they certainly knew about the shadow banking, and they certainly knew about all the fake accounts they created. They managed to quadruple their profits, on paper at least by 400%. And suddenly, Gordon Brown was lauding HBOS as being the best thing since sliced bread, and called James Crosby the mortgage czar. Does anybody remember that? Does anybody remember James Crosby being called the mortgage czar? Does anybody know that James Crosby, when I did a little bit of probing, actually had loads and loads of companies, and when I did a brief recce, including Crosby Homes, conflict of interest there, don't you think? He was CEO of HBOS. He was turning over £2 to £3 billion a month. I thought, bloody hell, this man is capitalised to run the bank. Why is he just the CEO? But the interesting problem we seem to have is that our banks aren't capitalised in England. Our banks all trace back to the Bank of International Settlements in Basel, Switzerland. I don't understand enough about it other than to say it seems to me there's one pot of money and they have lots of different facades, a bit like the way the government's running the energy companies in England. They are controlling the flow of energy from the grid, and they've got lots of commercial companies who are setting up in commerce and making it, you know, we've got special offers, and then the following year it suddenly hikes up by 50% and so on. It's like, well, this is all corporations that we're up against. You know, even they've turned UK into a corporation. UK PLC, right?
Yeah.
I think we have a serious problem. We are the sovereigns. You know, we are the living man and woman. We are the living beings. A corporation is an artificial persona. We are the real persona. What you were saying earlier about 5G, I think is terrifying. I've heard that it causes hydra heads in birth. It causes horrible things to happen to pregnant women. It's like, what's this about health and safety? Is anybody taking any notice about the fact we are living beings? We are trying to live on this earth. It's like that famous proverb, when the last tree is cut down and when the rivers have run dry, then only then will we wake up and realise we can't eat money. So I've had my little say about shadow banking. If you want to watch the interview with Caroline, please do. I think you'll find it very interesting. I have more to say on that, and I will do. But what's interesting is, going back to the conversation with Tom Aston, is that he, it was amazing. He never did send me what he promised. He never did put right the bank's mistake. Instead, Eversheds solicitors stepped on the scene because they had brought a fraudulent claim through the courts, which was had no court seal on it, had never been issued by the courts, and had no service. They'd never been served on us. And I didn't really even realise this properly until 2014. And Eversheds intercepted that process, and they found out there only was one person I told, like an excited Labrador puppy. I went to John Powell at Land Registry, who, by the way, is now claiming to be head of litigation for the whole of England and Wales, for Land Registry. A bit of corruption there, I think. And I said to Mr. Powell, are you going to take the charge for Bank of Scotland off the register now? Because I just found out it's a fake account. And he said, who told me that? In a very cold as ice way. By the way, I think I had that conversation on tape as well. And I thought, that's a bit odd. Shouldn't he be happy for me? Shouldn't he be glad that I finally rumbled the fact that this is a false charge on my property, but not a bit of it. It was left there until they had to resort to branding my husband and I bankrupt on the 2nd of October last year. It's a kind of mugging that goes on, a financial mugging. They surround you like wolves, and then they're trying to steal your estate and shut you down. This has been going on for 10 years in the courts, and the money was actually stolen from me 25 years ago, and I only discovered it in 2016. And ever since we're tipped off by John Powell, because I'm only putting 2 and 2 together and joining up the dots, who were then told, don't communicate with Elizabeth Watson, pass it back to Evershed. So suddenly, ever since then, they did U-turns, and I spoke to lots of senior people in Bank of Scotland, Lloyd's banking group, and they all did U-turns, and suddenly they said, we're not allowed to talk to you, go to Evershed, go to Evershed, go to Evershed. I went to Evershed. I said, please can I have the note? Please can I have the contract? Please can I see the evidence, the forensic proof? When was this money transferred? Show me so I can repay it. Not a bit of it. I got stonewalled. Stonewalled. And this is what they're doing to lots and lots of people. And Evershed, I then discovered the persecuted Timothy Powell. He now works at Hamrose Bank. He left quite hurriedly when I said to him, do you want to go to prison? You're acting with false colour. Section 135 of the County Courts Act, 1976, or is it 1984? 1984. It says if anyone purports to act with the authority of the court when they do not have such authority is committing a criminal offence liable for up to 7 years in prison. And he suddenly left the bank. And then another dude came on the scene called Richard Pitt. Cardiff. They all come out of Cardiff for some reason. I live nowhere near Cardiff. I'm in Dorset. But this is all part of the funny terrain that seems to be set up in an orchestrated manner to acid strip certain people who come under the radar screen of corrupt banksters, gangsters, I think. Right, so I just want to share that with people because when I rang up, I didn't even realise there were 2 charges on our property until a long time after they were put there. When we bought our house, I was actually severely disabled, I was epileptic, I had cognitive problems. They gunned for me. They saw me coming, they went for me. And the fact I had cash, I was a cash buyer, I then discovered that the cash had been stolen. I remember the incident on the 3rd of December 1993, the solicitor that we orally instructed who didn't give any letter of engagement. So if any of you deal with solicitors, make sure you get a letter of engagement, make sure there's a client account in your name and that there are wetting signatures and there's proper terms and conditions. We did not have that. I had no frame of reference of lawyers being corrupt and stealing at that time in 1993. And that's exactly what happened. They stole from us. This lawyer came round to the house. He said, can I have to borrow your passbook? He said, there's a contract race on. I have to show and prove that you're a cash buyer. Shall I help you out and just show them your passbook? And like an idiot, I said yes. I gave him the passbook, not thinking of it as like a thing he'd be handing him a pile of cash. But that's actually what happened. He took the passbook and he emptied it. And we were given vacant possession on the 16th of December 1993 with no papers. So here we come again to theft by pen and paper. This is how it's done. It's that easy. They gave us the vacant possession of the house, they gave us the keys, and they said, oh, we're not quite ready yet with the paperwork. The completion statements, etc., will follow in the new year. Well, you're quite right to think, well, God, that woman must be a lunatic. How could she move into our house without paperwork? It was close to Christmas, we were excited, it was our first family home, we had a young baby, we had a lot going on. We thought the legal profession were whiter than white. We had a frame of reference which had no knowledge of these kinds of corrupt activities that people now becoming more and more prolific to engaging with these so-called professions. I don't like to call them professions. And anyway, what David Webb did, I discovered he not only stole the purchase money, I've even got the proof from Land Registry. I went there and John Powell was there and he was like a gangster and he was extremely hostile. I thought, what the hell is going on? And cut a long story short, I found there were 3 entries showing £185,000, which wasn't even all the money that was there, but they were used to pay off 3 debts of the vendor. And the key was they didn't hand over the freehold. So there was no consideration in legal terms for the money that was paid, and there was no record recorded on any completion statement. It's very important to get the paperwork, because when we're living in an admiralty law climate, bills of lading, everything, certificate of title, certificate of marriage, certificate of birth, certificate of death, this is all to do with admiralty law. The Wicker Man that never lived. I found out through Sacha Stone, who is an amazing man. If any of you don't know about ITMJ, look it up. International Tribunal of Natural Justice. They are amazing. They're exactly what they say. They are working on a global level. They're combating corruption. They are fighting the systems that have been introduced to oppress us and put us down and suppress us and rob us. And it's all been done through the Wicker Man. Your power lays in your sovereignty in claiming back self-realisation. Michael Venetia, Great British Morgan Swindle, I think the film's just being released at the moment. Remarkable. You can order it on Amazon. I heard they were selling out. It's fantastic. Forward orders. I've ordered mine. True life stories. It's happening all around us. People are being thrown out of their homes. It's not getting reported very much at all, or they make it look like an isolated incident. People are being thrown out of their homes. There being no paperwork, no debt, no proof of debt, no accounting done. If you think about it, if somebody comes to you and says, there's no law in England, by the way, that allows anyone to repossess your house. There is no law. The Magna Carta. There's no law that allows a mortgagee to take a property from a mortgagor. When you grant a mortgage, you are the mortgagor. You are the grantor. Nobody has the right to take your house. Nobody. Even if you are supposedly owing money, they still have to show the accounts. They have to show the accounting exercise. And the fact that they're trying to take the house because they're trying to capitalise the banks because they're undercapitalised. So I've come to realise that this is the true state of play. It's not being talked about. The Treasury is very reluctant to even look at the issue of shadow banking. As I see it, it's a scourge of the nation. Rehypothecation. Does anybody know what rehypothecation is?
Tell us.
It's
Debt on the debt.
Sorry?
Is it a debt on the debt?
It's when they borrow from the borrower. It's like a Ponzi plus. It's one step up from securitization. When they take your asset and they don't even tell you and they take out loans, this is what they've done on my house. Not only did David Webb steal my cash, he then created a fake lease. It was fake because he put an extra digit from the land registration number. He added an extra digit. The land registry had to admit they wouldn't use the word fraudulent. They said it's erroneous. They won't correct it. They offered to correct it. I said, why are you offering to correct it? Your slip rule says you've got to do that within 56 days. This is now 20 years ago. Oh, does it say that? I said, yes. I'm still stuck with the Santander false charge on my house. I've never had a penny from Santander. I had discovered David Webb took out 7 mortgages in our name. 7 mortgages with 4 different banks. But were they really different banks, or were they all coming back to the Bank of International Settlements? I think we can join up the dots there. The trouble is we seem to have got suckered into this kind of vortex of corruption where the British establishment, funded by the Treasury, fueled by the corrupt regulators who are what we call capture regulators. They're not regulators at all, no-touch regulators. I'd like to get in front of Andrew Bailey. I'm hoping I will do so. I wrote to the Lord Chancellor recently because of this false bankruptcy. They branded my husband and I bankrupt. I said to the so-called official receiver, where is the debt? Couldn't show me a debt. So he sent me a piece of paper that said some lying toad at Eversheds claiming to be the creditor. I said, what? Where's the paperwork? Show me the forensic proof. Anyway, the fact is they will not show it. We have a system which has now gone into collapse. because there's now an anonymity in play for fraudsters to help themselves to your estate, or your assets, or your money, or whatever they want, even your children in some cases. They are taking everything of people on a number, which they put against your national insurance number, your barcode. We're all barcoded. So, what are the solutions? Taking power back, self-realisation. I love what Michael Benicio says about self-realisation. Who are you? You know, we have to get back to this. You know, who are we? Why are we here? We're up against a kind of cold war with corrupt officials. They're all court officers. Banks are court officers, lawyers, solicitors, barristers. Even staff working in the court are called court officers, and they've all got some kind of immunity, but they're all in a cosy little coterie. But they're supposed to be, you know, upholding your rights in law, but then it comes to the question mark, well, who guards the guards? These court officers are stealing from us. It's that simple. The big name law firms are being used by crooks working inside of the banks, like an inside track or shadow bank inside, which is a bit like a cancer that's growing within the organisation. And they are targeting people who they think are high net worth, and they call them high net worth because they don't have a mortgage, they don't have a death grip, mortgage, death grip. That's why they targeted me and my sister. My sister's had an order put on her name from a judge in the High Court, Queen's Bench Division, Master Davison, I think it is. I think it's fairly new. New kid on the block. But who the hell is he? Who are these judges? What gives them their authority? They seem to have feet of clay. They're umpires in their own game. It's like, I wrote to the judge the other day and I said to him, the guy who put the ECRO on me, extended civil restraint order, no seal on the order, done without notice, on a claim number he introduced. I said to him, you are asking me to win at bowling with both hands tied behind my back. I said, how can it be done? How can it be done? It's a rigged game. So, I would stay well away from the courts. I don't even know if I can call them courts now. I wrote to the Lord Chancellor and I told him my plight, and I got back a letter from the Crime Commissioner for Thames Valley Police, Anthony Stansfeld, who is my hero. And I absolutely think that man is wonderful. He's like the Union Denning. He is fighting corruption on a fantastically powerful scale. He gave a compelling speech at the ITMJ in the middle of April. And he knows what they're up to. He said there are tens of thousands of victims being thrown on the street. I think I just saw on Twitter this morning, 1 in 200 people are now officially homeless on the streets. 1 in 200, apparently in Birmingham it's 1 in 70. It's like, what the hell is going on? What happened to the laws of England? All this money that's being sent for foreign aid. Charity begins at home. I would like to set up a sovereign property alliance where we protect our rights to property, which is our inalienable human right, and our rights to family life, and our rights to family and children. These are all being taken from us through these barcodes. I've written some satirical poetry, and I was inspired by Michael Benicio. If anybody would like, I can share a couple of them with you, as it's topical with the film being released, The Great British Movie Swindle, in the last couple of weeks. Would anybody like me to read a couple of my poems?
Shock it to us, of course.
You've heard them, haven't you, John? We both read each other some of our poems a few months ago. Has anybody got any questions that they might like to try me on?
Yeah, I'm from Chartered Accountant. Have you had any problems with the professional code? My solicitors have been by the Law Society. Barristers of their own, one of the professional body.
I did go to the professional body, and interestingly, the Financial Reporting Council, there's a lot of questions that need to be asked, because we found out that firms like KPMG, who are the auditors for Lloyd's HBOS, did you know that before the merger they didn't even audit HBOS? How can you merge two banks without auditing HBOS first? I even rang up the executive's office and warned them. They carried on regardless. What did the bank know You know, in criminal law, you have to fulfill two standards. Mens rea, actus reus. Guilty mind, guilty act. It's no good just proving the guilty act. You have to show they intended it. That's why they've got this Dobbs inquiry, the Griggs inquiry. There's all sorts of inquiries going on. But they know the truth. They know the bank knew what they were doing. A printed statement is hard evidence. This fake account, 05353118, sort code 301818, comes once a year, 30th of August, like clockwork. I gathered about 4 or 5 of these fake statements. Who's got the printing press inside of Lloyd's Bank? Isn't this an interesting topic? How many banks? Pardon? Good point. Good point. I looked up some of the trading addresses. It's not even official, but they have to disclose their legitimate trading addresses. They're using PO box numbers for Santander and a lot of these dodgy banks. PO box numbers. How many of you get statements with a PO box number on them? Check it out. Check out the land register. Where's the deed that created the charge? They don't have a deed. They don't have an original deed. If they haven't got an original deed, they've sold it on. They have to have the original, otherwise they've already sold the debt on, which means there's no debt. The fact they've done it on the back of a false instrument is an abomination, is it not?
Right, well thank you Liz for...
I was going to read it. Do you want me to?
Yes, the vote, right.
I'll quickly read you at home if you like. This is actually sums it up.
Excuse me, weren't deeds scrapped a lot of years ago?
No, they tried last year to say that they can now make a deed electronically. Don't be fooled. They still have to have the original deed with wetting signatures from the Supreme Court ruling, Mercury versus Swift case of 2015 with Lady Hale, as far as I know.
Oh, thank you.
And
Some years ago, they were trying to privatise the land registry. How much progress have there been with that? They were trying to privatise it, opening it up for corporations to buy it, so it's not in the
That was the
public.
Infrastructure Act of 2015, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Wait,
they've
we stand
always
with
been
that?
private. They've always been running
Yeah,
as a
no,
private
but
thing.
it's private, isn't it?
This is an interesting thing about land registry. They've got about 23 million properties under their control. And they lie in their advertisements. They say, register your property, protect it from fraud. And hey presto, as soon as you register it, what happens?
You hand the
You're right.
property over.
Exactly. And this difference between a Lloyd de Young title and a Lloyd de Old title, the true title is the Lloyd de Young title. That is the true freehold. You are the owner of your freehold. What they do is, by registering it, you're gifting your freehold to the Crown. So they take the footprint of your property and then say you're the allodial title holder. Bollocks. Not true. Not true.
So
They made it up.
What do you do about that then?
We are looking at that with this thing I mentioned earlier. And Michael Benicia, a lot of knowledge. It's time. We're in an evolution of human consciousness. As people wake up, as we gather together, as we join forces, we can combat this shocking corruption. But we have to start with taking a stand for our property rights, our rights to family life, our rights to privacy, our rights to children. We don't need an overbearing government telling us what to do, bossing us around, who themselves come back to the EU, who haven't signed their books off for 20-something years.
They're all corporations. That's our biggest problem.
Exactly.
Like I write to them and say, Genesis 26 to 28, man and woman's got domination over the earth.
Dominion, yes.
Not you.
Exactly. Because the governments are elected with the consent of the governed. We, the
They're
governed.
corporations.
Who's governing us? We've got tyranny now in government. We've got a cabinet where practically 7 or 8 of them are blooming bankers. They've worked at the World Bank or the Bank of England, or one of them is the CEO of Santander, and so on. And it's a bit worrying because when you look at what the banks are doing, this isn't looking too good.
Well,
But-
look at Macron in France.
Well, the other thing I'd like to say is Anthony Stansfield makes a very valid point that we need more funding to go into fighting fraud and corruption. And at the moment, more than £200 billion a year are being squirreled out of the UK economy, and less than 0.25% is being spent in protecting stopping fraud. Nobody cares. It's almost like it's working according to plan. It's like, what the hell is this? They're spending money on the most ridiculous things, but we, the people, need to squeak up and say, we want money spending, we want our police, we want fraud units set up within the police force, we want them funded. We don't need the likes of actionless fraud, whose conviction rate is about 2% or something shocking. Actionless fraud are a waste of time. These crime bureaus, even the serious fraud office, the corruption there. I found out that Robert Wardle, who was in charge of the fraud office at the time, $250 million vaporised through shadow accounts set up by the head auditor of HBOS back in 2001. Suddenly HBOS got this amazing protection. Mackay scuttled off and managed to create 2 fall guys, 2 patsies to take the rap, and they're still in jail now. Wrong people went to jail.
Angela, have you got a question before we wrap up with the poems?
Well, I just keep saying, it keeps coming back to the Magna
Common law.
Carta.
Exactly.
Yeah, the Magna Carta. We can make a stand, we can cut the government's money supply off, they're finished. We have an awful right to do it.
Exactly, and the whole thing is, when we were looking at for who shall we support on politicians, on the political front, don't you think they're all involved in this? Or most of them were involved in some...
Yes.
That's the thing, and even the aspiring politicians. Why is it that none of our politicians are prepared to talk about military unification?
Yes.
Right? It's a simple subject, isn't it? No, none of them. Yes, they might have somebody to speak at a conference, and that's it. There's no literature produced. And what is it about Finchley Road, which is a topic that I'm going to talk about a little bit later on? If I've interviewed Gordon Bowden quite a few times now on Stepping Stones. Who do you think might be implicated with the Finchley Road? He hasn't unveiled half the number of people. These people, they are your everyday people that are in the spotlight, but you've heard of these people. They're famous people, they're politicians, they're business people, Panama Papers, Paradise Papers. But people say, oh, are they paying tax? It's okay if they're paying tax. Really, we're talking about money laundering here in many of these cases. We're talking about fraud.
On an industrial scale.
So they're paying tax, but the money was acquired by fraud in some of these cases.
With no footprint in shadow accounts.
Right.
And another thing is that's happening in British courts, which we have to fight back about. Are these courts fit for purpose? No. They don't even insure the building. Every other commercial establishment has to have insurance, not British courts. There's all kinds of anomalies. Everything is wrong. Everything is rotten in our judicial system.
You can put any court in you like on company checker and it will come up as another corporation.
Exactly. How many people know this? People go into court in trepidation and fear, which ruins all their biochemistry, and they can't think straight. And they're dealing with people they haven't got clean hands. We need to claim we want equity law, equitable, fairness, ancient trust laws, 2,000 years old. Serious Fraud Office told me this, by the way. They said you go in on equity law, claim your equitable rights. The equitable title holder can grant the legal title. It's not the other way around. They're claiming a legal title of your property, but what's it worth?
Poetry. We've got to wrap up because we've got 3 more speakers. That's the problem. We've got 3 more speakers.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just going to tell about the practicing. Does anyone know the practicing solicitor and barrister are sitting as a judge in the High Court? You know that
They're all members of the
we don't
bar.
have independent judiciary. The practicing solicitor and barrister. One day, my opponent are employing them as a barrister for themselves, and next day they sit as a judge on the same court.
Yeah,
And
there
they
is no
want
independence.
to
and
speak
we're
by
lied to.
property, by pen and paper.
It's because it's Babylonian. It's all Babylonian Talmudic.
Yeah.
And we're supposed to be Christian. And we're not doing it.
I'm a victim of solicitor's wrongdoing. I exposed that the firm has been shut down by the Law Society, and 10 years is going a petition by a fraudsters for 20,000. Today has grown to £2.5 million cost. And they want to get my home, my family home, my business, and they are just writing letter and saying, you are coming here to change your law. I go to the court with application to put a stay of the proceeding, and they are saying that, the judge is not available. And let's say
people are
they
hyenas.
will put it in front of the chief registrar or chief judge Nicholas Briggs, nephew of the Lord Justice Briggs. Lord Justice Briggs is dismissing my application in the Supreme Court, and his nephew is ordering the possession order on 9 property of me and brother and sister who are re-immigrated to England. We brought capital to this country.
And I honestly
I'm
think
sorry.
we're really running out of
No,
time.
what I want to tell everybody know that the practice
Yeah.
jurist and barrister are sitting as a judge.
Yeah. Okay.
You don't
Well,
have
why
any
don't this
position.
honestly, we've got
Many,
3 more
many
speakers.
conflicts of interest. Caroline Wayman, the CEO of the Financial Audit Service, apparently used to work at Evershed's very senior capacity, or as a director. Okay, here's my poem. It's actually a tribute to the great British mortgage swindle. The two Michaels. Michael, you're a legend, a mentor, and a friend. You've cleverly exposed the fact that banksters do not lend. You flagged up all the mortgages and never-ending spend. Loan interest paid on nothing, a debt that never ends. Michael, you're a maestro who really knows his stuff. The artful way you've raised the game, unravelling their bluff. Despotic banks and banksters colluding with their judge. Fake balance sheets and lawlessness, they need a mighty nudge. They've hid away due process of laws meant to protect. The twists and turns of evidence, it's all done for effect. Describing us as borrowers with nothing there to show. You've never yet received a dime. Their game is touch and go. Michael, you're a star who's totally debunked void deeds and diatribes of lies designed to leave you sunk. Withholding all disclosure so justice isn't set. Surrounding us with witnesses we've never even met. They'll steal your home without a loan, divesting you of everything you own, so try not to forget. They're ultimately powerless, devoid of all respect. They have no method to enforce. Let truth reveal the winning course. The claim they made is yours to thwart. They can't withstand the test. Burdens of proof elude them still, so target their Achilles heel. It's right that you protest. They throw away the people's rights to usury's neglect. We must rebel. The time is now to stop their spinning just for effect. Collateral damage isn't ours. It's theirs alone to carry. For banking games are burdensome. They have good cause to worry. Committing acts of genocide. No moral compass, nowhere to hide. With biased court staff on their side. Depraved corruption. Where's their pride? Oh, what mendacious webs they weave when setting out just to deceive, perverting all that's good and true. They stand apart from me and you. The game they're playing isn't real, disguising that they're trying to steal. Our homes, our children, assets too. They've turned our courts into a zoo. While everyone is wanting more, we boot out thieves sat at our doors, and passengers who ride the wave, divesting assets that we've saved. Immoral acts invite a spat. Who has the right to challenge that? Wearing their wigs and camouflage, trading their legal arbitrage, an old boys network that is entrenched in conmanship with all its stench. They break the rules from their own bench. But don't despair, for good folk care, and will deliver you your share of justice and full restitution taken from our Constitution. Foul play will simply fade away. Abhorrent acts, they will not stay. Michael, you're a hero whose work is helping many. You finally unlocked that banks don't lend a penny. You've paved the way to understand the art of war in banking crimes, a travesty we all deplore. Illusory debts that we abhor. They'll hoover up all that you own, so do not let them. Throw them down. Divest them of the stolen crown. For all along, the mortgagee has got no rights to take or deal the asset from the mortgagor. That isn't real. No law supports intent to steal. The facts have merely been reversed to dupe you. And in fact, what's worse is that the courts are being misused to launder money from those accused of being debtors. But that's untrue. No lawlessness can misconstrue. What's yours is yours, belongs to you. The bank, it must retreat from view. They're brokering illusions, they're taking us as fools. The perjury and forgery, disobeying their own rules. There's inequality of arms and dangerous games and cowardice. No wonder every court user bemoans all that's amiss. The judges bought and paid for by the rude autocracy, removing our illusions about UK's democracy. Chicanery and cheating too, amoral acts they hide from view. Those private sessions in shadow courts, disguised as hearings with no fact find, they burden you with compound torts by twisting rules they seek to bind. The voice of truth they are afraid, they drown in falsehoods that they made. Without due process, no claim to find, they can't compete with awakened minds. When all is said and done, we know dismantled lies have nowhere to go. We throw off lies that try to bind, we stand in truth, we change our minds. Our sovereignty, it is intact, we throw the Trojans off our backs. Releasing their iniquities, we step into what makes us free. Arise like lions from the slumber, in invanquishable number. Their earthly chains collapse like dew. For we are many, they are few. Do not forget we are the best. Do not forget we are the best. We free all those who are oppressed. Court officers who don't pass the test, who've lost their way, forgot their oath. We never have to bow to those who peddle falsities and who trade your sovereignty with lies they made. The time is now to join at hands to claim what's ours in these our lands. The shockumentary film that now exposes all that binds us is unreal, which must rescind. It's time for oneness, usher in the real deal. We all know right from wrong, so let your heart break into song. Exposing every mortgage swindle, watch carefully how the soul rekindles and rebuilds your life while you take stock. A house four square sits on a rock of honesty and wholeness, restoral and renewal, self-realization across the nation, release confusion, defeat delusions, lawful rebellion, dispels illusions, takes back our rights, revokes our plight, time to transcend the long dark night, soaring to freedom in full flight, as mindfulness restores our might. We who have come so far, remember who you are. Truth prevails, it never fails. Just watch how soul rekindles, mortgage swindles.